You feel so connected to your spouse when you get married, and then life gets busy with household responsibilities, career, raising families, and pursuing your dreams. In all the busyness, it's easy to lose sight of each other and feel disconnected. If you want to know the number one key to staying connected with your spouse, no matter how busy life gets, join me for this episode. Hi, I'm Julia Woods. I'm a couples coach, and I get to work with hundreds of couples who all want to know how to reconnect or deepen their connection. I've been married for over 3 decades, so I know this can be a real challenge. It definitely was for my husband and I. We maintained our connection for the first few years of our marriage, and then we began having kids and growing a business, and we gradually started losing our connection. We thought it was kind of normal, and we just kind of passed it off as maybe this is just how marriage works, and you're just not meant to have that deep connection, after the first few years. But 20 years into my marriage, my husband was letting me know that he was connecting with another woman. I was devastated. It was then that I realized just how disconnected we really were. And as I looked back, I could easily see where our connection started fading. In that first few years of our marriage, we talked about everything. Both of us were working a 9-to-5 job. We worked together to remodel our mobile home. We were doing our best to work through conflicts. And then in our 3rd year of marriage, I quit my job to stay at home with our first child, and all of my attention began going to her. We were struggling to make ends meet. I was selling kitchen gadgets through home parties at night, and we started our photography business together at that time. In that year, the focus of our conversations shifted from being about each other to being all about work, all about the baby, all about the business, all about how to make ends meet. We had conversations in passing. We stopped making eye contact when we talked. When conflicts arose, we started biting our tongues because we didn't want to spend the little time we had together fighting. That meant conflicts began to go unresolved, and we both began to grow bitterness and resentment towards each other. We worked harder to not talk about the things that were bothering us. It felt even more difficult to work through our differences because the buildup of unresolved conflicts was causing us to be more defensive. We started blaming each other as the problem and pushing more things under the rug. Conflicts became battles to be won. I had grown up one of 7 kids, and he was an only child. So I had more experience with fighting. And so I had the advantage of being able to win most wars. He began giving up and just refusing to talk because he knew in the end I would have outmaneuvered him in the conversation. We knew we loved each other. We just didn't know how to make our way back to feeling the day-to-day connection. When we took trips together, we could see glimmers of it, and that would keep us going and believing that we were okay. The truth was what we were experiencing wasn't normal, and we weren't okay. We had made the fatal mistake of being dishonest with each other. Each time we chose not to be honest or try to keep the peace, we created disconnection. We stopped looking each other in the eyes when we talked because we knew we weren't being honest. I wasn't being honest that I needed help working through some trauma from my childhood. He wasn't being honest that he felt neglected by me with how much I was giving my attention to our child. I wasn't being honest that I didn't trust him and I was trying to control him. He wasn't being honest that he was being untrustworthy and he despised feeling controlled. I wasn't being honest that I didn't feel worthy of love, and he wasn't being honest that he didn't feel like he was ever good enough. Life was hard, and it was inviting us to look at ourselves and the deeper things going on inside each of us individually that was driving us to push each other away. But we didn't want to get honest about those things. So instead, we turned to blaming each other. The more we blamed, the more disconnected we felt. And that brought us to the day when I mentioned earlier, when my husband was seeking connection elsewhere. We separated. And when we separated, we started getting honest with ourselves and each other. That devastating pain forced us to choose to be honest. For several weeks, our only conversations with each other were ones that were more honest than we'd ever had in our entire relationship. He was honest, I was honest, and much to our surprise, we started feeling more connected with each other than either of us could remember. We were shocked. We weren't candy coating things. We weren't self-editing. We weren't saying one thing and meaning another. We weren't saying what we thought the other person wanted to hear. We were just being honest. And we knew it was honest because what we were saying wasn't about the other person. Our statements were I-focused. I can see that I've been doing this. I can see I was growing bitter about this rather than working with you to find a new way. When you did this, I chose to do this. The more honest we got with ourselves, the more honest we got with each other. It was vulnerable and it was raw, and it was the rawness that was connecting us. It's like a cut. If you've ever had a perfect cut, it's really hard to heal because it keeps splitting back open. But if you tear your skin, it's much easier to heal because it has something to grab onto. When we were holding our tongue, playing niceties and self-editing, it was like working with a clean cut, and it was hard to get connected. But when we were raw and honest, it was easy to get connected with each other. Our rawness with ourselves and each other left something in the middle to connect to. As we walked through these weeks and months of healing, we committed to honesty moving forward. And while life has been hard and busy, it is honest conversations that has helped us reveal conflicts that needed to be resolved, to see where we needed to negotiate, to help us find solutions to problems that were win-wins for both of us. I began sharing with other couples the power of honest conversations, and they began feeling the same thing in their levels of connection. The more honest they got, the more connected they became. If you want to stay connected with your spouse, the number one key is honesty. You know when you're being dishonest, and you know when your spouse is being dishonest. The moment you start tolerating dishonesty, you start distrusting one another. Think about it. When your spouse says they're fine and you know they aren't fine, you feel disconnected because you know they're lying to you. And when they open up and finally tell you what's bothering them, you feel connected because they let you in. If you and your spouse feel disconnected from each other, I have a gift in the notes under this video for you called 100 Deeper Connection Prompts and Ideas. It will give you 50 conversation starters that will invite each of you to be honest with each other. It will also give you 50 date ideas that are fun and playful to help you start spending more time with each other. Just click the description under this video to find that link. If you found this episode helpful, would you give it a thumbs up and share one thing you're taking away from this in the comment section below this video? Hey, hon.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how honest do you experience me being with you in life right now?
Actually, I'll give you 9. There's always room for 1.
Thank you.